Hello and welcome to my long overdue video on my favorite games and favorite TV shows of 2017. Now, last year I did an award type show thing, which was really like just a spoof on award shows really, but like it really did have a lot of my true feelings about the video games that I played within them. This year I just kind of I didn't want to do that because in the past year I've kind of hated the idea of ranking where games mean to me, because I think that games, like now more than ever, instead of going this is my favorite, like they all have different elements that like can't be compared to each other, so I feel like I just want to talk about why I love each individual game. I'm also doing my favorite TV shows and favorite movies. I could have done this in separate videos, but who needs that trouble, in all honesty? Like, who needs that? It's not about the trouble, like I don't mind putting effort into 3 videos. It would just be kind of the same as like doing this one video and just cutting into 3. It would actually be kind of easier, in fact, to do the 3 videos thing. But I feel like that's just kind of exploiterary, blah 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 blah. However, like the thing is, like I can pronounce these words in conversation all the freaking time, but for some reason, when I try to say them in a video, they always come out wrong. Maybe we'll try again later. Also, I hope you don't mind, but I'm not going to be showing video in this whole video, and there's a reason for that. I don't mind copyright claims because, believe it or not, like I don't have a right to play video games, or I don't have a right to show other people's media on the internet. I don't have the right to do that. I don't have a right to show some Stranger Things clips. I don't have the right to re-upload, you know, a movie's trailer. I don't have the right to do that. It's not my right at all in any way, shape, or form. A lot of people argue it's transformative, and that's fine, but right now the law and the actual rules of YouTube lean more towards the creator side of things. So I'm just going to be showing pictures of the actual TV shows, maybe a couple of pictures and a couple of pictures of the video games as well, because honestly I really don't want to get like strikes on this video, and like strikes are worse than copyright claims. Copyright claims happen all the time because I play Nintendo games, but strikes are a different thing. I don't want that to happen, and especially with the amount of stuff I'm talking about today, I don't want that to like ruin things either. So let's start off with the video games, so the people that aren't interested in TV can just leave after this, or like, you know, stay around if you want. I would be glad for you to stay around. I played quite a few games this year, but a lot of them were kind of old, but I did play a couple of new games this year. For anyone wondering, last year my Game of the Years, my nominations for my Game of the Year went to Final Fantasy 15, Dark Souls 3, Pokemon Sun and Moon, and Last Guardian, and The Last Guardian won. Which, like, the thing is, I still stand by that, but then again, I also think in my head, like I was just saying, I might pick Final Fantasy 15 as well on another day, you know? So let's start off by talking about the Yakuza series. A series that, like, honestly, I got introduced to by a guy named Michael Huber. If anyone ever follows Easy Allies, they're a fantastic group of games journalists, but he praises that game every single chance he gets. And I didn't want to buy into the hype because there's a lot of games that are localized that aren't very good. A lot of people sing their praises, and when they actually come over, they're like, that's not that good of a game. But this game here these games that I played this year are absolutely goddamn amazing. I played Yakuza 0 first, and then I played Yakuza Kiwami. What happened was I was going to down to the shop to buy Yakuza Kiwami because it just released, and it was €35, and Yakuza 0 was like 29, so I was like, I'll buy Yakuza 0. Talking about them like together and individually, Yakuza 0 to me is the better game, if you think about it, but then again, like I also think that like Yakuza Kiwami has a better story. See what I mean? You can't really compare them in a lot of ways. They all have their own elements that are really good, and this game is really good. From a distance, it's really goofy. You get to play karaoke, you get to, like, you know, go around hitting people with motorcycles, but the undertones of it really do have, not even the undertones, the overtones, they put it like on top of this game. There are some deep cuts, some really sad stories, and some really emotional parts of the game as well, which I wasn't expecting to get so attached to the characters in this game. I played Yakuza 0 for 80 hours, I played Yakuza Kiwami for 50 hours, and I really felt like every single hour and minute that I put into that game was worth it. There wasn't a time where I was like, this is bullshit. I ran a freaking hostess club, and it was like, they turned it, like, I was like, oh, do I actually have to do this to get like the special power up? You do have to do it at one point to actually get this guy's highest ability, and it's like it took me like 10 hours to go through the whole thing, and I was like, do I really have to do this? And I went in, and all of a sudden they turn it from like this really seedy thing into like a mini game that's really funny. It's a really fun game. It's really funny. The side quests are amazing. The side quests are so interesting and fun. You will learn to like become like friends with people, and you will care about people. And then in Yakuza Kiwami, since it's a remake, the combat is really good, but it's not as good as Zero. The characters are still really good. They change a lot because it's years later. They go from, I think, 1985 or the 80s. I think it's in the 90s or the 80s. I can't really remember right now, to like the early 2000s. So it works really well in that sense. I really do think it works out really well, and that's why it's on the list. Next up, you have like Resident Evil 7, which again, a game that like could have gone so horribly wrong. I'm not going to talk a lot about this because again, there's lots of stuff in this game that could be spoiled. Resident Evil 7 is possibly one of the greatest horror games I've ever played in my life. It was a game that when I first picked up the game, like, first of all, it feels so good to play. Like, it feels so good to go through that house and those halls and like experience the game for yourself. Like, it feels really good. Not only that, again, a game that has like emotional parts to it as well that you weren't expecting. A game that has gun combat that honestly I would put high up there with any other Resident Evil games. It is first person, which is like a completely new area for the Resident Evil team. But I think it works really, really well, and I'm actually like, the idea of the next game not being first person actually makes me feel a bit weird. Even though I think Resident Evil 1 is still like so amazing, I still think that the next game should be in first person, which I think it will be. Resident Evil 8 will be in first person. It just kind of like showed me, like, because again, Resident Evil 6, it was like Resident Evil 5, it's like, oh, this game is really good, but like it's not as good as 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. And then I played Resident Evil 6, and it's like, this game is not even close to being as good as 5 even. And then when I played 7, it's like, okay, I understand this game, this franchise is completely saved, and I have nothing to worry about. They listen to the fans, because the fans complained. The fans were like, we want something more than 6. We want a horror experience. And then they were like, okay, we listened, which is so rare. It's so rare to have them actually listen and design a whole game around fan experience. And it paid off because they not only made money on it, they actually got really high reviews on the game as well, and had a lot of people going crazy for it. I know people that didn't play Resident Evil in the past, but played that game like 5 times. And that makes me really happy. It's a really fun game, a really great game, and I think if you get a chance to play it, you totally should. Next up, of course, is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, did anyone doubt that this was going to be on this list in some way, shape, or form? Like, if you did doubt it, that's great. But like, Breath of the Wild was a game that I only played, I would never have played if it wasn't for this channel, because I was introduced, of course, to Zelda from you guys, suggesting games to me. You kept suggesting Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and eventually, like, it turned into this thing where I was like, this is, like, freaking, like, this is a great series. It went from me playing Ocarina of Time and going, wow, this is a bit dated, to playing, like, all the Zelda games and going, wow, Wind Waker is absolutely fantastic. And we're talking about Breath of the Wild now, which I should. People get angry when I say this. It's fine. Get angry. It's cool. I think it, like, in terms of open world, it took every single open world element and put it into, like, a pot and like mixed it around and added some spice to it, and that's how it feels. Now, I heard that like the developers of this game, most of the people who came up with the ideas for this game have no interest in video games, and you might be like, well, that sounds really silly, but I actually think it's really good, because they can, instead of like taking all the natural conventions that open world games already have, these people can look at a video game from a fresh perspective and be like, well, what would I like in a game? Not just what like other people like in open world games or what open world games are like. They're like, well, what would people like to do in an open world? And that's what this game became, which it makes so much sense that like that's how the game would be developed from minds of people that don't actually like video games, if you get what I'm saying. Because to me, open world was getting kind of stale. There was The Witcher 3, which is an absolutely superb game, and there was Final Fantasy 15, which I loved as well. But like, I don't think I can play an open world game now without the ability to climb, or the ability to sail down from tall buildings. Like, playing Skyrim after Breath of the Wild for a bit was so weird, because I actually tried to jump off a cliff and I just died. You know what I mean? It's so weird. It's a really good game. Again, a game that tugged on my heartstrings. The DLC is fantastic for your money's worth. €20 for like all that you get in that DLC. Again, it deserves to be there. I think it's honestly one of the greatest open world games I've ever played. Absolutely amazing. And before someone says, well, what about the durability? What about the frame rate? They fixed all the frame rate issues. Like, I have no, like, if you watch any of my recent videos on Breath of the Wild, there are no frame rate issues. Like, it never dips below 26, and to me, that's, like, fine. That's fine. You can be like, how do you know that, Calvin? Which I have on, like, it shows you on editing softwares, like, the frame rate. It's fine. Like, it's grand. Like, if you need more than that for a game that's so beautiful anyway, I don't know what we're talking about here. And the last game on the list is actually Persona 5. This game, again, a game I played for 93 hours, and I'm not done with it yet. I'm actually planning, as soon as I finish the plan is, I'm going to hopefully when my finals are done, I'm going to spend just a week while I'm handing out CVs to jobs and places like that. I'm going to like basically play through the entirety of Persona 5 again, and I'm really excited about that. Like, I'm going to do it the whole way through New Game Plus again. That game is absolutely fantastic. There is some issues, of course, that I have with the game. I don't think you have as much freedom as you did in Persona 4. And definitely not as much freedom as you had in Persona 3, but the world is bigger, the world is more beautiful, there's more, I would say, like, even though there's less freedom, there's like more stuff to do when you actually do get that freedom. Like, when you're actually allowed to explore the world, there is more to do, and that's what's so great about it. Again, the characters are really well done, and again, I'm probably gonna be killed for saying this, but the dub is better than the sub. Oh my god, I'm gonna be murdered. I'm gonna be really murdered. I just think that the dub did a really good job. Again, Sean Chiplock, the guy who played Rivali, plays a character in this game as well. A really fantastic game. Not only just a fantastic game, but I think honestly, like, in my viewpoint, I think I've never been in better dungeon crawling parts of a game than this one. And I say dungeon crawling, I don't mean dungeons as in Zelda. I mean like crawling through dungeons, because a dungeon crawl to me is like should be like 2 hours long. That's a dungeon crawl. It's like a long trek. You're going through a dungeon because it doesn't feel right. Like what's the point of going through a dungeon if you're just like, you know, if it's just like this 2-minute thing? And like the thing I get, like I love Tales of the Tales games because that's like the break from that. It's like, yeah, I went through like a 2-hour dungeon in this game. Now with the Tales games, I'm gonna go through like a 10-minute dungeon. But like still, I feel like, and they did do the really long dungeons, but they space it out, they make the enemies more interesting, they make the areas more interesting, which makes it a better game. And again, a game that at the end of it, I was bawling my eyes out. I was done. I was completely and utterly done. And yeah, I honestly, out of all the games, I like would definitely like say pick this up as well if you can. Like, it's worth the money. It's well worth the money. I think I got it for €50, which was like, I should have been charged more for that game, which is why I bought a lot of the DLC, because I wanted to support Atlus in every way I could. If you want me to talk about something else, and I know some people might want me to talk about the problem with the like capturing the footage, the way I had to cut my playthrough short because they didn't want people uploading parts of the story past a certain date. The thing I will say about that is Japan is a different culture. Again, I don't know the culture, and I don't want to pretend that I know the culture, but all I've heard from people that live in Japan and people who have actually worked with Japanese companies before, people like a German spy who has actually done strategy guides for Japanese companies, he has said that they like don't know, they really just don't understand streaming services. The highest streaming service in Japan is a wrestling service that has only like 60,000 Japanese people subscribe to it, and that might check my facts on that. Check my facts on that. But I know that's like one of the highest. They don't understand streaming services. They don't understand it. They see it as stealing, and that's a cultural thing, and that's what we have to understand. Also, that doesn't have anything to do with the actual game. I hate when people, I shouldn't say I hate the way people do that, because like people review games in any way they want, but that's something that just does bother me a little bit. You review the game that you play, not the company around it. You know, I know it's difficult to do that sometimes. It's difficult to separate it. For me, you always have to review the actual game itself. And this is actually, and it's an example of how you do microtransactions right, because it's not microtransactions, but in Persona 5 you can buy costumes and they don't hurt the game, they don't hurt anyone else, they're barely giving you improvements to the game. Even the personas that you can buy, they released the personas at a time that's like, oh yeah, they're really powerful around like halfway through the game, but like most of the people who have played the game all the way through or even got really far into the game, by the time it released for me, it was like, they're not even that good anymore. So that's my games for this year. Again, the people who don't like TV shows or movies can leave if they want, but I would really like you to stay around and give me your opinions on TV shows. Give me your opinions on what your favorite games of the year were as well, and we can have a discussion about that. So I only have 2 movies that came out this year, I think, that I actually really liked. Now, if there is more and I talked about them online, please let me know. There is movies that I don't really have a full opinion on yet. Like, I will say I loved The Last Jedi. I really did. But again, I don't have a full opinion on it yet. I want to watch it one more time before I actually like really get into it, like really like understand it more. And because the thing is, like, you on the internet as well, you can say shit about that movie and you'll be buried, and I don't want to be buried. I want to have like actual thoughts about it, not just like I really like a Rey and I really like a Finn, I really like a Poe, I really like all these people, they're great. I want to have more, like, because the thing is, like, I tried to have a discussion about why I liked it with someone the other day, and I got buried under it. I got buried under this argument that we had, and like, if there was winners and losers and arguments like that, I lost it. Let's get into the actual movies I like. Okay, I think it's I Am Andy Kaufman, I think it is. It's the Jim Carrey documentary. I'm not going to say much about it because it's really like shocking. You should go and watch it. It's on Netflix. It really, really was not only eye-opening to like Andy Kaufman's character, not only Jim Carrey himself, but it was just eye-opening to like for myself as well. The stuff that Jim Carrey like goes through in this and goes through in life really can be reflected in a lot of us, and it really helped me like understand what like, and this is true, and you're gonna say, Calvin, that's really douchey to say, but it really helped me understand what I want to do with the rest of my life after watching this documentary. Jim Carrey said the words that you're gonna fail at doing the safe thing, so you might as well do the dangerous thing. So it kind of made me think to myself, well, maybe I should do something that I do, like follow dreams instead of just following the safe thing, which I know a lot of people can't do. I know that's not like that doesn't relate to everybody. I probably can't even do it. I'm going to find out very soon. But you know, I thought it was a great message. My movie of the year, and like the thing is, I know I said I wasn't going to categorize games, but with movies, like I have to pick this one because first of all, it's the only actually like motion picture that I like watched this year that was new, and it's. No, it wasn't the only one, but it was one of the only ones I liked. The remake. Now, I know a lot of people love the original Tim Curry version of Pennywise the Clown, but to me, this movie like got a lot of beats that I feel like the other miniseries didn't get it right. And I think one of the things I heard that what they did was they put all the children like in this kind of like camp, this camp beforehand, and basically made them like bond with each other. They would do things like stare in each other's eyes for like 5 minutes straight to like become. And you're gonna know someone when you stare in their eyes for 5 minutes. And eventually they became friends, and they became the best of friends. And apparently they're still friends, which is you can see in the movie. It's not only a movie about Pennywise, but it's also a movie about growing up and puberty and understanding who you are as a person, but not only understanding your friends. It is. To me, it's an astounding movie. It's a fantastic movie. Again, it's an emotional movie as well. I'm not very good at like describing shots. I'm never going to be a director. That's not my thing. I wouldn't like to do that because I think that like, you know, if even if I ever got to write something, I think that it would definitely be I couldn't direct it to save my life. But I think this movie just looks fantastic, and I think they did a very good job with actually focusing on the most interesting part of the movie, which is the friendship, rather than the actual horror, because, like, it's not that scary. Like, to me, it's not that scary, but, like, what's scary was actually, like, how you become to care for these, like, really diverse group of kids. Let's really quickly run through some TV shows. The first one, don't judge me, but I'm gonna pick Riverdale. This is a silly show. I think it's not well written. I think it's actually really, like, funny sometimes. There's times when I burst out laughing. But one of the most amazing things that I think about the show is that, like, you're supposed, like, for me anyway, I shut off my brain. And me and my friends joke about it then afterwards. We're like, do you remember when this stupid thing happened? But, like, if you shut off your brain, you can really start to, like, care about some of the characters. Not as much this season, I think, because I think a lot of stuff this season is kind of, like, really, really overdramatic. But I guess that's what it is. It's supposed to be like a soap opera, but, like, again, I come to D&D on Friday and I talk to my friend Darren and we make jokes about it, and it's really fun to watch in that sense. But like, for that reason, I have to, like, it's like when some games are bad but they're so good, you know what I mean? But this is, I wouldn't say this is so bad. It's shot beautifully. A lot of the stuff is, like, the setting is unique and, like, different. It feels like a superhero movie in a lot of ways, in, like, a drama series, which you can't say a lot for a lot of TV shows. And I think it looks pretty good. And I think some of the acting is really good as well. Some of it. Cole Sprouse is good. He's good. Don't care what you say. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, amazing. Number 2 is Game of Thrones Season 7. Again, I'm probably going to get killed for saying this, but I think that season was absolutely fantastic. And again, to me, it's kind of like this thing of, we got 6 years of traveling on boats. I was like, 6 years of traveling on boats for like 4 episodes. I was pretty okay with how fast things were going. Like, yes, they could have, like, showed them more, like, if it was a big passing of time between the time, you know what I'm saying, in episode 6, they could have shown that better. But honestly, I am 100% okay with how fast that season went. And again, there's going to be a lot of people that go like, well, I like my shows to have more substance. That's fine. That's fine. Then I guess season 7 wasn't for you, but it was for me. And that's how it works. I really like season 7. And to end this all, is really much of a surprise. To me, it's my favorite show of all time. Stranger Things 2 is my favorite TV show of the year. And I think this was absolutely fantastic. I think it done a really good job again. Again, the actors are goddamn amazing. And I think a lot of people are realizing it. I think a lot of people don't want to like realize that there's reviews for this stuff that really like are kind of strange. Like, insulting kids is something I would never do. These kids, not even just for child actors, are absolutely just amazing. Of course, there were some insults thrown at this as well, but again, I was able to move past them, and in fact, after a second watching and a third watching, I can actually say that I think that a lot of the stuff that was bad about it isn't as bad as people would say. That's what I'd say. And of course, again, highly emotional. I watched it in 2 days. I remember getting up in the morning at 8 AM and watching the first episode of Mad Max and just like lying in bed and just watching this beautiful show. I think it's fantastic. And I think, like, you know, the fan base is crazy. The fan base is goddamn psychotic at some stages, but that doesn't matter to me, I think. They can also be very kind in some stages. Do this, try this out, okay? So today I tweeted out, Charlie Heaton is one of the coolest mother effers in the world. Charlie Heaton is one of the characters in Stranger Things, but I was talking about the person himself. He plays Jonathan. And, like, try out just tweeting out one of the actors' names. Just tweet out, like, Finn Wolfhard or Natalia Dyer and see how many likes you get from the weirdest fucking accounts. I regretted it immediately. I regretted it so hard. It's like the weirdest thing. You get like, oh, I don't know how to describe it. Check my Twitter at CalCalCalvi. That's a shameless plug. So that's gonna be like my talk for about 2017. I didn't want to do a scripted thing because, again, when I do scripted things, I talk in big words that I never talk in. Like I say stuff that I would never say. I try to be more like articulate, and I try to like get basically like become like Ophelia and like become like the most articulate person that I can through like this madness that I'm writing on the paper. Stuff that I would never ever say. But I still do want to do scripted stuff at some point, because a lot of people really like my Prince of Persia review, and that was something that I rewrote because, like, again, I was writing and I was like, I would never say that word. Thank you for 2017. It was goddamn amazing. Hope you had a great Christmas. You were all awesome. I love you all so much. And I say it's the first time I've said I love you, and it sounds really weird, and I feel like I should take it back, but I won't. I'll see you all very soon.